Real Madrid versus Arsenal. The second leg. Let's just get straight to it. So, remontada. I hope I am pronouncing it properly. Remontada. That was literally the word that was going around throughout the whole week. That was Jude Bellingham's answer in a pre-match press conference when he was asked what word he heard most often in the Real Madrid dressing room. You know what, yeah, to be fair to Jude, he was actually asked that question, so I do understand the answer, but then I just find it a bit cringe. I mean, as in Real Madrid always come back, but that was actually ahead of a quarter-final second leg, which you guys were already down. I mean, Madrid were down by 3-0 in the first leg, and I think that showed Arsenal no respect, you know? Bear in mind, Madrid had never actually beaten Arsenal, nor have they actually ever come back in the Champions League 3-0 down. Anyway, let's just dive in. So, at the start of the match, I literally did some sort of analysis, right? You can see that Madrid had a defense shape from the first leg, because from the first leg they had Vini and Mbappe up top playing a 4-4-2 with Bellingham down on the left hand side, which I believe was the worst thing possible for them. But as you can see here, Jude Bellingham is already central. There's literally first 25 seconds of the game, 23 seconds, 25 seconds into the game, Jude is already central. Madrid were very direct in the second leg, I should say, anyway. And I literally made this what's called illustration here. As you can see, ball is going back to Rudiger, right? And you can see Valverde, who was playing in the free with Jude and Tchouaméni, had already dropped into the right hand side with Vasquez playing as a right back, pushing up already, right? And that was a change that I saw literally from the first few seconds. I mean, that actually caught off guard Martinelli anyway, but I believe Arsenal actually dealt with that. But that was actually a good approach. If Madrid decided to stick with that, I believe they would have had an overload on that side. But yeah, so this is what I first saw. But one thing also is that, I mean, even though Madrid had 0 shots on goal, right, in the first half, right, they did actually create a couple chances. This is what I've basically demonstrated here. And as you can see, they do win the ball back in the midfield. And the ball literally goes straight back to Mbappe. Vini makes a good run outside of Mbappe. Vini then cuts in, put the ball in. Mbappe scores, but offside. Watching that as an Arsenal fan, I was literally thinking, yo, we might be in for a long day. Because that was such a good start. Because I didn't see that in the first leg. Straight direct football. I didn't see that. Because one thing I've also realizes that Madrid do not have no structure to their play. In terms of structure going forward and in the midfield, it's like Ancelotti just be like, you know what, you guys just play. In fact, let me show you guys the shots at goal from Madrid. Bear in mind, right? Like I mentioned before, Madrid had no shot at goal in the first half. They only had 3 shots on target. This is basically illustrating 2 shots on target. First shot on target was actually by Vini outside of the box, as you can see here in this map, right outside of the box. The second shot on target came from a corner, surprisingly, from Rodrigo. You know, I'll come back to Rodrigo later. Rodrigo, which was a shot on target because Raya had to clear it. I mean, if Raya was not paying attention to it, probably would have got in. And then the last shot on target came from Diaz in the second half. In fact, in the 89th minute in the second half. And the only goal they had came from a mistake from William Saliba, who was basically sleeping on the job. So in total, Real Madrid they recorded 33 crosses in open play. They are most in a competitive game since attempting the same amount in the Champions League group stage, really, against Shakhtar Donetsk in October 2020. And the last time they attempted more was against Real Valladolid. I actually had to Google how to pronounce that. Real Valladolid in November 2018. So that basically gives you some sort of indication as to how the game basically went. They basically had, and with all the crosses, they had 5 successful crosses, 28 unsuccessful crosses with the 15% accuracy. So I wanted to point out something. I wanted to point out the performances of Vini, Rodrigo, and Mbappe. Let me start with Vini. That performance at the quarterfinal stage against Arsenal was very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. I mean, you need to bear in mind that the guy that was basically gunning for the Ballon d'Or just last year, put up this performance in the second leg whereby you needed to win about more than 4 goals. Even in the first leg, it was quiet. But then again, you need to give props to Timber because Timber shut him down. You know, I'm just okay. I'm gonna go on and praise Arsenal later on, but I'm just trying to point out what basically happened really. Because Vinny, you were nothing factor in this game. None factor. I'm gonna go to Rodrigo, please. I don't think we should ever compare Rodrigo to Saka again. I know some people were saying Rodrigo is better than Saka, but you need to bear in mind, you need to add context. Rodrigo has been playing in a Real Madrid team with quality. So when Saka started playing for Arsenal, he started as a left back, grew into a winger. And only as of the last 3 seasons is when his team has literally started competing for leagues. Only as of the last 2 seasons is when his team were playing in the Champions League again. Last season, got to the quarterfinal stage. This season, well, now they're going to the semi-final stage. Who was more effective in this leg? Rodrigo, you were very disappointed. Even though I'm actually an Arsenal fan, I expected better from them. Anyways, let's move on to Mbappe. It must be sickening for Mbappe to think, I left PSG to go to Real Madrid, right? But PSG are in line to win a treble. And they're going to the semi-finals. And I'm out of the Champions League against Arsenal. And I did not perform. Mbappe was a non-factor again. And I'm looking at the whole Real Madrid team. It is not balanced at all. No structure, nothing. So can you really blame Mbappe in that sort of environment? But then again, I have to look at him because when he was in a good environment in PSG, with the team built around him, he still could not deliver. Anyways, you know what? I need to mention Jude Bellingham. Jude, mate, you were working hard. I know it was a tough situation for you to be in, especially within these 2 legs. But your performance were not great. And in the second leg, you were very aggressive. I know, I mean, I get it. You need to show a bit of aggression because you guys didn't show nothing in the first leg. But it was a bit over the top sometimes. And you actually got schooled in the midfield. I mean, the whole Real Madrid's midfield got schooled. So, one other person I actually wanted to mention, who is deemed to be one of the best 8s in his game, in the modern game, Federico Valverde. Yes, I had to also Google that name to pronounce it right, and to get at them. Again, and I'm fucked. Okay, cool. In the first leg, I'll give that to him because he's playing right back. But in the second leg, he's playing centrally. He was also a non-factor in the midfield. Against Partey, who I deem to be one of the best 6 in the modern game. No one can tell me otherwise. If you analyze games objectively, if I know tribalism or anything as such, you will know Partey is one of the best 6s in the game. And against Partey and against Odegaard. And against Rice and then Odegaard. Again, a non-factor. Tchouaméni. Wow. I'm not even sure if he played because I didn't see him doing anything. So you need to look across the whole Real Madrid team and just say they are just not good enough. So then it brings me back to the point where I was thinking, why were the so-called experts and pundits giving Madrid the bigger chance of going through? Was it because of the badge or was it because of the team? So I also looked into analysis-wise Arsenal's shape in this game, which was completely very different actually. As you can see, Arsenal always defend in a 4-4-2 shape, right? Because this gives them a bit more of a structure in the midfield and a bit more room to cover across the whole pitch. And as you can see, I've actually annotated here, the spacing between them there's barely any space to work through. Every time Madrid actually approached Arsenal's back four or was trying to pen them deep, you could put a blanket across. As you can see here in the 8th minute, Madrid again trying to pen back Arsenal, but Arsenal do have a good shape in the cover with the midfield, Partey, Rice in there. We got Martinelli tacked in. One thing Arsenal do best is whenever they're defending, their right backs and left back are tacked all the way in. They're very narrow, with the wingers covering that side, doing most of the work. So if the ball goes to infield, the fullback is in a good place to basically come out and close down the angle. So Arsenal's wingers do a lot of work throughout games, which is the feature of Arsenal play. The opposite thing I saw actually, bear that in mind, is well, Real Madrid always defended, in both legs, always defended Arsenal's wingers one-on-one. You could barely see that with Arsenal when they were defending Real Madrid's wingers. You cannot leave a winger with a fullback one-on-one all the time. If your attacking players barely do any work back, you cannot. Especially in this sort of stages in the Champions League whereby it's fine margins. So moving on, right? Arsenal did not sit back completely. It's not that Arsenal came just to sit back, let's soak the pressure and then we hit Madrid on a counter-attack. No, they pressed. And this is showing you how well Arsenal actually pressed, right? From the 18th minute, this is showing in the 18th minute, right? 18th minute and 34 seconds. Look at how high Arsenal are pressing Madrid's backline. The midfield, they are covered. Madrid literally had to just go wide to try and get a ball into the midfield. This here, one here also shows you that pressing man-to-man, giving them no time and space on the ball. Even if Madrid were to clip the ball into the midfield, Partey had it covered. This was a different approach because maybe Madrid for Arsenal would just come in banking in the banks of four and just try to say it. No. I believe that this was the best approach for Arteta anyway. And I was not even surprised Arsenal did it because Arsenal always do that. Right, one thing I actually wanted to point out is Arsenal fans, we do know that Odegaard ain't been great this season. But let's not be analysing him with some sort of lens on, because what I've been hearing is Odegaard was hiding again in this game. Odegaard was hiding in the first leg, which is not true. Because if you actually have a look, he was always available for a pass in the game. So that's not hiding. And I'm about to show you stats actually, but from Max Stats Club, right? This shows ball progression, pass and carry for both Real Madrid and Arsenal. Apart from Federico Valverde, right?
Odegaard ranks first amongst Arsenal players. Ball progression, pass and carry. Yes, you heard that right. First amongst Arsenal players.
So, for those that be saying Odegaard been hiding, please, let's have some sort of objective analysis. One person I wanted to point out, Declan Rice. Let's talk about Declan Rice. If you do not believe Declan Rice is a world-class centre mid, please re-evaluate the way you think about Declan Rice. Okay, some might say, okay, over the last 2 games, he's been showing that he's been great. So what about other games? Well, if you watched him, you will know that since Arteta has moved him as 8, Declan has been excellent. But this game alone showed how good Declan Rice is. Declan Rice had 5 interceptions in a game. This guy covered every grass on the pitch. Every grass. So what's called, this screenshots here will show you exactly where Declan was in terms of reading the game and intercepting passes throughout. Declan was so instrumental to the point whereby Arsenal had a 0-0, right? No. Arsenal had a corner. Madrid hit Arsenal on a counter-attack. I'll show you guys in a second. And Declan tracked his man all the way from Madrid's half to intercept that pass. Let me just show you. Courtois gets the ball, throws the ball out to Belbade, who tries to find Mbappe on the other side, but guess who was running alongside? Declan. And this is what I'm saying, Declan, your performances here, nobody can call you, or nobody can say you're not world class, because those performances were absolutely world class. You know what? Put aside his performance in the first leg, the second leg alone, without no goal, quality, world class performance. Let's move on. Throughout the whole game, you probably might think Real Madrid had the best attacking threat, but that was not the case. Up the stats here clearly shows you that Arsenal, as you can see here, this graph, Arsenal had the most attacking threat in this second leg. So it's not that Arsenal just came out to sit, let's soak pressure. They were attacking Madrid with quality. Like I mentioned before, Real Madrid Madrid had no shots on target in the first half. Only 3 shots on target. And Arsenal carried the most attacking threat. One person I actually wanted to point out to is Mikel Merino. This guy has been immense since starting to play as the 9 for Arsenal. He's been instrumental to everything. Getting his goal in the first leg, his interchanging play. He's so smart. He's a very intelligent footballer. So I'm struggling to actually understand why Arsenal fans were already down on him at the start of his career at Arsenal. Sometimes you're just gonna have to wait. You know what I mean? I always thought he actually had like quality, but it just wasn't coming off for him. Especially when you basically had to start off injured in a team that are trying to challenge for the title. So let me just show you how Mikel Merino was instrumental to Arsenal's first goal. Raya goes long with a pinpoint ball actually straight to this space in here, which I've already highlighted, right? Merino goes out for the ball, wins the head up. But tell me why Rudiger and Fran Garcia are going for the same ball, which I've highlighted here. This is schoolboy stuff. Saka then picks up the ball. He fronts up Rudiger, passes the ball back to Odegaard. And as I was saying, Odegaard was orchestrating from behind the scenes, as people are clearly not watching, because this goal came from Odegaard. Pass to Odegaard. Odegaard shifted to the right, back to the left, finds Rice. Right? Rice gets back to Odegaard. As you can see here, Odegaard to Merino. A good pass through. And what a dink by Saka. You try to, you know what, let's get back to the penalty, because I've never actually seen Saka taking a penalty like that. If you're going to go for the penalty, it has to go down the middle, because the keeper is going to dive. At that level, the keeper is going to dive. So down the middle is your best shot. So I'm not sure why he tried to penetrate on the side of the keeper. Anyways, he made immense with that goal. I actually want to give a shout out to young Miles Lewis Skelly. I think you should watch this 3rd episode, because I did do some sort of quick, what's called, analysis of the whole game. The guy is beyond his age. 18 years old, playing in the midfield at the Bernabeu, or even in the first leg, taking the responsibility to get on the ball in the midfield, inverting to get on the ball in the midfield. I try to trust him enough, and he can execute. He executed to the highest level in this game too. Frustrating Jude Bellingham in the middle of the park, both legs. He taught them a lesson. Miles, I give you props. Jakob Kivior. I think Arsenal fans need to put respect on this guy's name, because he was immense over both legs, and your doubters should be sending you direct messages apologizing. I'm sorry, they should be. Because he put no foot wrong. I mean, in the first leg, yeah, in the first few minutes, he made a couple mistakes, but that was just down to nerves. Come on. But he's been immense. He shut down Mbappe, gave him nothing of substance, like throughout both legs. And lastly, Bukayo Saka. Before I get to the Arsenal's last goal, Bukayo Saka. I don't really have that many words to give, really, for him. His performances, that boy, if you didn't believe he's world class now. If you didn't believe Saka was already world class, he's world class now, and I believe he's top 2 wingers in the league. Sorry, in the Prem? Yeah. In the world. Top 3. I'm talking about right wingers, I should say. Arguably can say Mo Salah, Yamal, Saka, but I believe Saka is in front of Yamal, and this is why. Saka has been doing it for 5 seasons straight. Yamal, his best season is this season, but he started playing last season. This season is his best season, but if you can look at his output, Saka is still leading. And Saka has been out for how many months? 3 months. I didn't even point out, Saka was out 3 months for hamstring injury. Being able to come back into this tough competition in Champions League and deliver. And his other counterparts that were being compared to him or saying we're better, i.e. Rodrigo, which I never want to hear that comparison again. Rodrigo is I don't want to use the word star. Rodrigo is a good player in his own right, but there's levels. And Saka came to your backyard and showed the levels. So let's put respect on Saka's name. Thank you. Right. On to the last goal, right? Moreno being instrumental again. The last goal from Arsenal, which came from a counter-attack. A cross into the box, dealt with by Kivio. The touch from Moreno was superb. On point. Look at the foot race between Martinelli and Fran Garcia. The ball was put perfectly in the path of Martinelli. And actually, I counted the touches he took to score. 3 touches he took to score that goal. 3 touches. He left your boy Fran Garcia in the dust. And bear in mind, if you play 30 minutes, Fran Garcia, you should be ashamed. You came on in the 60th minute. You should be ashamed. Ashamed of yourself, mate. But yeah, as you can see, Arsenal literally came to the Bernabeu and played their game tactically, implemented it. They were dynamic in the midfield, resolute at the back, and hit on a counter-attack when needed be. Created chances too. They had more shots at goal than Madrid. They had more of a threat, attacking threat, throughout the whole game. I had a look at Opta stats, right? Opta stats, or Opta supercomputer, actually. Let's have a look. Opta supercomputer is giving Arsenal 28.7% chance of winning the Champions League. Actually, no, they are actually giving Inter Milan 25.5%. That's higher than 24 PSG, which most pundits are saying will win the Champions League or have a more of a chance. And Barcelona 21.8. Yeah, remontada. And as they said, someone said, rice cooks better under the lid.
Take the yards.